Hello everyone, this is Pustakverma and today we are going to deal with a story from grade 12 compulsory English new course, and it's My Old Home, written by a Chinese writer Lu Shan. This picture itself reflects very fine concept of my old home and my new home. So before reading this chapter, My Old Home, we have to know about some of the questions mentioned in our textbooks. So the question A, how do you feel if you visit a place after an interval of 10 years? 10 वर्षको अन्तरालमा तिमी कुनै ठाउँ भिजिट गर्छौ भने कस्तो फिल गर्छौ भन्छ यस. The answer is I feel excited and nostalgic. स्मरणयुक्त यस. If I visit a place, especially my hometown after an interval of 10 years. Question B, who is your best childhood friend? What special memories do you share with him or her? तिम्रो बेस्ट चाइल्डहुड फ्रेन्ड को हो, उसँग कस्तो मेमोरी सेयर गरेका छौ? Roshan, even we can say Roshan or Rosie is my best childhood friend. I shared my 16th birthday as a special day as I got A plus grade in SE at the same day, and we too enjoyed a lot the whole day and night together. So this is about the questions which are mentioned in our textbooks before reading. Then about the author, Lucian. The pen name of Lucian was Josuren, was from Confucian background. His grandfather served as a high official in Beijing, and his father was also a scholar. Lucian is considered as the China's greatest writer in the 20th century. He was a short story writer, essayist, and translator, yes, who is commonly considered as the father of modern Chinese literature. He is known as the father of modern Chinese literature. This story, My Old Home, yes, which is mentioned in our textbooks, is taken out from the story of collection Hometown. बाट यसलाई के गरिएको छ, निकालिएको छ. It's an story about son's memory from youth to middle age and depict यसले चित्रण गर्छ the conflict between memories and reality. It describes how Son feels while being away from home for many years. Upon arriving at his last post home, his memories are forced to come to confront with the reality. His prior conceptions, उसको पहिलाको जो दृष्टिकोण हुन्छ and understanding of the world come into conflict with his reality. When he faces the reality, his conceptions get varied. So this is about the author Lu Shan. So then about the characters or characterizations of the story My Old Home. The very first character and prominent character that we find in the story is Lucian himself. He is the young master as well as the narrator. Here we have to know narrator refers to one who tells the story. जसले कथा भन्छ त्यसलाई हामीले narrator भन्छौँ. And here Lucian is both, is the narrator as well as the principal character, or even we can say the protagonist. Is he is considered as a miser in the sense he doesn't want to give away all his furniture to the poor, rather he wants to sell them. Second character in the story is Runthu. He is the former temporary servant of Lucian. He is shy in nature but high in spirit. That's very good. Is Hunger is Lucian's 8-year-old timid and shy nephew. Vatijo, who soon befriends with Suseng, the son of Runtu. The fourth character is Suseng. He is the fifth son of Runtu, who is also very shy and converses only during social harmonies. Lucian's mother, who loves him very much and even greets him at his arrival in the old house, Lucian's father, who even take care of is Runtu as well. Elder brother Sun, who wants to keep some kitchen furniture. Poor fox peasantry who works in the field most of the time, but their lifestyle do not change. Mrs. Young, she's a neighbor who accuses the narrator of being miserly, yes, and people call her the bean card beauty. Bean card refers to the milk product, yes, and she sits in the bean card shop. उनको एउटा पसल हुन्छ opposite to Sean's home. So this is about the characterization. Then about the summary is my old home. Lucian's My Old Home is an autobiographical novel. Autobiographical refers to the writer's own life experiences. It's about his own life. Where is the author's persona, Lucian, as a narrator, and his memories, which he is recalling of his childhood in his brilliant home. When he was at his old home, how he used to play with his friends, how he used to pass the time. He recalls those memories in his mind. He cannot describe how much he loved it and how proud he was to grow up in that home. The story projects conflict between recollections and realities. It shows the conflict between these recollections, preconceptions, and realities. The narrator revisits his old home after 20 years in 1911 during the overthrow of Qin dynasty, about which we have already studied in grade 11. He doesn't believe his eyes first. As he visits the place, he doesn't believe on those things. Here, his old house is a symbol, is represent his old recollections. उसको पुराना स्मरणयुक्त चिजहरूलाई यसले के गर्छ? It symbolizes. He is greeted by his mother and nephews. So many changes have been made, but not in positive track. Rather, he finds his house in ruined position, 20 years of weathers, renovations, and other families. Lucian reconciles with his relatives, including Mrs. Young, a young neighbor who accuses them of being miserly. Sun feels ashamed when the bean card lady says that he is being miserly for he doesn't want to give away his furniture. उसको जो एउटा नाइबर सुन्छ मिसेज यङ उनले उसलाई दोष उनले के भन्छन् कि ऊ एकदमै लोभी छ as he was not is giving a furniture to the poor people. His prior conceptions come into conflict as he faces the reality of his old hometown. So then he comes to know that his old childhood friend Runthu. Then he remembers, then he comes to know about his childhood friend Runthu will be reuniting with Lu at the same home. ऊ पनि त्यही घरमा आउन लागेको छ. He recalls his brief relationship. उसको जो साथीत्व हुन्छ, रिलेसनशिप हुन्छ, फ्रेन्डशिप चाइल्डहुडको त्यसलाई उसले के गर्छ? He remembers. As a part-time labor boy, जो के हुन्छ? Part-time labor boy हुन्छ. जुन their friendship was lively, positive and brother-like. उसले childhoodमा दुईटै के हुन्छ? They behave each other like the brothers. They were very close friends. They enjoyed talking about catching animals, budgers, jha and hedgehogs. These are the several types of animals found in the watermelonहरू जातिको बेलामा यिनीहरू खान आउँछन्. तिनीहरूको कसरी उनीहरूले के गर्छन्? क्याच गर्ने, मार्ने त्यो सिचुएसन्सलाई पनि के गर्छ? प्रोजेक्ट गर्छ. They were not so worried about the outside world. Their childhood friendship was vivid and mutual. तिनीहरूको फ्रेन्डशिप के थियो त? ग्रेट थियो, इनोसेन्स थियो, एन्ड इभन तिनीहरूको disinterested थियो. तिनीहरू के थिए त? They were pure. After 30 years, as the time passes, people change. Runtu becomes much more mature. ऊ पनि young भइसकेको हुन्छ, but he experiences a rough life due to heavy taxes. उसको जीवन एकदमै के हुन्छ? दुःखदयनीय, miserable अथवा troublesome हुन्छ. Because he has to pay heavy taxes. He has heavy social responsibilities. Famine, भोकमरी पनि हुन्छ. Bandits, even लुटेराहरू पनि लुटेका हुन्छन्. Officials, landed gentry, जमिनदारहरूले पनि सताएका हुन्छन्. So because of that, his life was very much troublesome in situations. These factors have influenced Runtu's attitude toward the narrator. Ratiskan now he finds a little bit different. Runtu doesn't act like a friend to our son, but rather he an inferior acquaintance, since Lucian ranks higher than him in society. उसले के पाउँछ his friends अथवा Luciansलाई higher एउटा स्ट्याटसमा बसेको पाउँछ, and because of that he behaves in a different way. When Runtu arrives, the first thing he says is hello masters, and this reflects the class differences in the Chinese society. This is when Lucian realizes Runtu was not really his friend, but more of a servant. Their friendship was mutual, but not the way Runtu thought. उसले सोचे जस्तो थिएन. Runtu behaves as if the narrator is his master and he has a higher status than him. उसले सोचेको हुन्छ narrator भनेको Lucian एउटा high status को मान्छे हो, ऊ master हो, and Runtu is a servant. Finally, Lu hopes his children don't come to realize the class differences in China, and hopefully they won't drift apart that effect on their friendship. Sun hopes that his nephew won't lose his friendship with Runtu's son. He hoped that both of them will not suffer from the social responsibilities like the Runtu. The narrator hopes that his nephew and Runtu's son will behave properly in even futures. Their friendship will be long lasting, not like themselves. तिनीहरू जस्तो हुने छैन. To wrap up अथवा to summarize, हामीले के भन्न सक्छौं? The story forwards a message that as one leaves one destination for better opportunities and place, here she recollects memories behind it. जब मान्छेले प्लेस छोड्छ, उसले आफ्नो सम्झनाहरू बोकेर गएको हुन्छ. And a friendship won't last if only one is caring about himself and wealth. Their friendship changes because of their hardships. तिनीहरूको friendship change हुन्छ तिनीहरूको समस्याको कारणले गर्दा. They go through society dictates disallowing them to be friends. सोसाइटीले तिनीहरूलाई त्यस्तो बन्नबाट रोकेको हुन्छ. People from different classes cannot interact and develop mutual relations. As they belong to different class, they cannot be the true friends. This was prevalent in the China. They have to fulfill their roles at certain positions. So this is about the summary of my old home. Then the visual summary of my old home. Here you find is the narrator is visiting his old home. He meets his family members. All of them get rejoiced, even they welcomes him. He thinks about the furniture found in his kitchen. He sold some of the sells some of the furniture, and he distributes some of the things which are in the kitchen. He recalls his childhood friends Runtu, and then he remembers this watermelon field where he used to go and kill several types of animals, just the porcupines, badgers, and hedgehogs. The animals is figured out also mentioned here. Then as his childhood friend become a young man, and he has miserable life because of his poverty and so many habit excess and so many things, and now the behavior of his childhood friends has changed. Is he behaves himself as a master and himself as a servant. उसलाई के गर्छ? His friend as a master and himself as a servant. So is the writer hopes such types of friendship should be disconnected. Rather, the true friendship should be continued between his nephew and Runtu's son. Then glossary. There are some the glossary terms mentioned in our text. Li, traditional Chinese unit of distance measuring 1,640 feet, rationalized to attempt to explain or justify the logical reasons. Vessels, originally a cauldron of cooking or strong meat. Intercalary, a day or month inserted in the calendar to harmonize the solar calendar like 19th February. Talisman, an object typically an inscribed ring or stones. Hedgehogs, or small nocturnal old world mammals with a spiny coat and short legs, able to roll itself into a ball for defense. Concubine, mistress, women who lives with a man but has lower status than his wife or his wife's treadmill. monotonous or wearisome, giving no satisfactions, stupefied, astonished, अचम्म, flabbergasted, feeling or showing intense shock, surprise, or wonder. So these are the glossaries, are some typical terms mentioned in our textbooks. Then about the main points. These are the things that you have to remember this and significant as well. So here, the first one is, it is an autobiographical novel about the life life and experiences of the narrator. Our memoir genre is, in the sense, the story is based on the life and experiences, especially the memories of the author. Lucian, who presents himself as a narrator as well as the protagonist of the story. Protagonist भनेको main character, principal character of the story. And narrator here refers to one who tells the story. Then the setting, the story has been set during the late 19th century, especially during the overthrow of Qin dynasty in Shojing, Zhejiang, China. The main theme, this is the significant part of the story. Significance of friendship, friendship को importance, and trustship, विश्वास is Confucian ideal friendship during the Confucianism is कस्तो खालको friendship थियो. Then unbreakable bonds, close connection between the friends, conception and reality is predetermined concept and reality. There is conflict between these two as concept. Value of loyalty. It is very clearly shown by the Runthu in the story. Respect to the masters, who also is behaves to his masters is very properly. And then is societal obstacles in cross class friendship. One belongs to upper class and another belongs to lower class, so they can't be the true friends due to societal obstacles, societal problems. Master servant relationship is also very clearly projected in the story. Migration to urban areas for many more facilities. This is the very modern concept. Most of the people leave their old homes and they visit to the even cities areas, urban areas for facilities. Nostalgia for the past, विगतको स्मरण. यो कुराहरू, these are the things we find in the story. So then about the questions. Understanding the text. Answer the following questions. Question A. How does the narrator describe his feeling at arrival of his old home? जब उनी घर आउँछन् उनको फिलिङ कस्तो हुन्छ? त्यसलाई कसरी डिस्क्राइब गरेका छन्? The narrator has many exciting and happy feelings regarding his old home before his arrival, but his exciting feelings convert into depressing one as he sees the surroundings and environment which have no any progress as he arrives. सुरुमा उनको फिलिङ एक्साइटिङ ह्याप्पी हुन्छ तर पछि डिप्रेसिङ भइहाल्छ. As he find there is no drastic changes in his hometown. What were the three kinds of servants in the China then? What does it indicate about the contemporary Chinese society? During the time, as there was the class is conflict, so is the three kinds of servants were prevalent in the China. The first one is year-longs, those who work the whole year long for one family. Whole years काम गर्थे एउटा फ्यामिलीको लागि. Next one, short timer. Second type of servants were short timer, those who works by the daytime, दिनमा मात्र काम गर्ने गर्थे. Third one is busy monthers, those who plow their own land but work for a specific family just during the holidays or rent time. कहिलेकाहीँ रियली बिदाको दिनमा अथवा काम परेको बेलामा काम गर्ने busy monthers, they have their own field as well. It indicates that contemporary Chinese society had slavery systems and hierarchy as well. Then about the question C. What makes the narrator nostalgic? Narratorलाई केले nostalgic स्मरणयुक्त बनाउँछ? What did he do with Runthu in teenage? जब बाल्यकालमा उनले के गर्ने गर्थ्यो? As the narrator's mother asks him to meet Runthu, it makes him nostalgic. यसले उनलाई स्मरण गर्न बाध्य बनाउँछ. And he played with Runthu on the sandy ground among the watermelon, stabbing the jaw in the teenagers. विभिन्न जनावरहरू जो वाटरमेलनको फिल्डमा पाइन्थ्यो तिनीहरूलाई घोपेर मार्ने क्याच गर्ने त्यो गरेर उनले के गर्थे त he used to pass his time with Runtu in his teenage. How did Runtu hunt Ja in his young age? उसले कसरी मार्ने गर्थ्यो त by stabbing with a knife अथवा कुनै चिजले घोपेर मार्ने गर्थ्यो. And this question about E, how does the narrator make a humorous picture of Mrs. Young? एउटा lady is उसको humorous picture उनले के गर्छन् कसरी बनाउँछन्. So the narrator makes a humorous picture of Mrs. Young, associating her to बीन कर्ड लेडी. उनलाई के गरिदिन्छन् त narratorलाई अथवा narratorले यो लेडीलाई बीन कर्ड लेडीसँग कम्पेयर गरेर के गर्छन् लेडीको ह्युमरस पिक्चर ड्रा गर्छन्. She also accuses him of being miserly for he doesn't want to give away his furniture to her. ऊ दिन चाहन्न त्यसकारण उनलाई लोभी पनि अथवा narratorलाई उले लोभी पनि भन्छन्. Then about question F. According to the narrator, what were the different factors that made Runtu a poor man throughout his life? के फ्याक्टर्सहरू थिए जसले narratorलाई के गर्छ त throughout the life पुवरको पुवर नै रहन बाध्य बनाउँछ. According to the narrator, the different factors made the Runtu poor man throughout his life were heavy taxes, governmentको heavy taxes, social responsibilities, फेमाइन्स भोकमरीहरू, ब्यान्डिट्स डकेदारहरू लुट्ने, अफिसियल्सहरूले सताउने, ल्यान्डेड जेन्ट्री जमिनदारहरू, क्लास डिफरेन्सेस that he went through. Because of these reasons, Runtu never become a rich man. How does the narrator help Runtu before leaving his old home? घरबाट छोड्ने बेलामा उनले कसरी सहयोग गर्छन्? By providing the kitchen accessories. उनको घरमा धेरै सामानहरू हुन्छ त्यो उनले प्रोभाइड गर्छन्. Providing him long tables and incense burner is some candlesticks, a set of scales is before leaving the old home. Some of the kitchen accessories as well as some things by providing the Runtu, narrator helps him. How does the author differentiate between these two kinds of idols? दुई किसिमको idols को कुरा गर्छन् मूर्तिहरूको. And the author differentiate two kinds of idols saying that superstitious one idol is superstitious one जसमा के गर्छन् worshipping for a while for something immediate, and second idol is hope, not an idol that he wants somewhere far up in a murky distance. So these are the questions is comes under this. Yes, then we see the next set of questions, a reference to the context. Situational questions is the very first question is while reading the friendship between the narrator and Runtu. Narrator र रुन्थुको फ्रेन्डशिप पढ्ने बेलामा हिन्दू रिडर्सहरूले के रिमेम्बर गर्छन् the friendship of Krishna and Sudama. Which particular description remind you of mythological example? के त्यहाँ इन्स्टान्सेसहरू कथामा छन् जसले तिमीले के सम्झन्छौ यो स्टोरीको some sort of connection के छ त with Krishna and Sudama. While reading the friendship between narrator and Runtu, Hindu readers remember the friendship between Krishna and Sudama. Following descriptions of the story, my old home reminds of these mythological connections. This पौराणिक कनेक्सनसँग हामीलाई जोड्न बाध्य गराउँछ. The first one, Sudama was Lord Krishna's classmate and very intimate friend. Sudama के थिए classmate र intimate friend थिए. Lord Krishna was a king and Sudama was a impoverished poor Brahmin. The case is same in the story. Yes, in the friendship and relationship between Lushan and Runtu. The former is rich, Lushan is rich, belongs to upper class and master. Later is very poor. He is a servant. The second instance, Sudama felt very shy when he visited Krishna, same as Runtu felt ashamed. ऊ पनि आफूलाई एकदम लज्जित महसुस गरिरहेको हुन्छ and nervous when he meets his childhood friend and master Lushan. The third instance is Sudama was helped by Krishna at the end in the same way. In the same way, Runtu was also helped by Lushan by providing several kitchen accessories at the end. जसरी कृष्णले सुदामालाई मद्दत गरेका हुन्छन्, same as the narrator helped Runtu as well. Both of the story teaches us message. यिनीहरूले एउटा prominent message दिन्छन्. Never expect anything free in life, and a friend is a need, a friend indeed. This is the very prominent message that this story forwards. So, is it these are the instances that shows the connection between Sudama, Krishna and Sudama, and narrator and Runthu. This picture also very clearly displays very is connective bond between Krishna and Sudama. Then question number B. How does the story support the proposition that relationship of childhood are innocent, impartial and disinterested? Obviously हामीले के भन्न सक्छौं जो बाल्यकालको रिलेसन हुन्छ त्यो के हुन्छ इनोसेन्ट निर्दोष हुन्छ इम्पार्शियल पक्षपाती हुँदैन डिसइन्ट्रेस्टेड हुन्छ कुनै त्यसमा मान्छेले स्वार्थ लुकेको हुँदैन चाइल्डहुडको फ्रेन्डशिप एकदम प्योर हुन्छ इनोसेन्ट हुन्छ and the story My Home supports the proposition that the relationship of childhoods are innocent impartial and disinterested. As we go through the story we come to know that narrator Lushan and Runthu had childhood friendship when there was no any class differences rather innocent friendship found between them दुईटाको बीचमा कुनै क्लास डिफरेन्सेस हुँदैन इनोसेन्स फ्रेन्डशिपहरू पाइन्छ. The notion of innocence refers to the children's simplicity, their lack of knowledge, and their purity, not yet spoiled by mundane affairs. The boring affairs ले कुनै पनि चीज नभएको त्यस्तो पनि के हुन्छ हामीले find out गर्छौं. Such innocence is taken as a promise of renewal of the word by the children. The same innocence can be realized as they were a child. They used to pass the time together by stabbing jaw, burger and porcupines. विभिन्न एनिमल्सहरू मारेर उसमा स्यान्डी फिल्डमा दौडेर स्नो उसको सिसवरको विभिन्न सेल्सहरू कलेक्ट गरेर they run here and there in the field of watermelon. They had master and part-time worker relationship. They had no any selfishness behavior. कुनै पनि किसिमको स्वार्थी behavior हुँदैन. Their friendship and relations was pure, impartial and disinterested. The same relations the narrator hopes to see in his nephew and Runthu's son. सेम रिलेसनसिप उनले के चाहन्छन् त आफ्नो नेफ्यू र रुन्थुको छोरामा देख्न चाहन्छन्. This picture also very clearly expresses the childhood innocence friendship, no any selfishness behavior. All are happy. Yes. Then he talks about question C. After reading the story, what inferences can you make about the contemporary Chinese economic and social system? यो स्टोरी पढिसकेपछि तिमीले कस्तो खालको अनुमान गर्न सक्छौ चाइनिज इकोनोमिक एन्ड सोशल सिस्टमको बारेमा? So yes, after reading this story, My Old Home, we can make following inferences about contemporary Chinese economic and social system. समकालीन चाइनिज यस आर्थिक एवं सामाजिक जो अवस्था थियो त्यसको बारेमा यस्तो किसिमको हामीले के गर्न सक्छौं अनुमान लगाउन सक्छौं. The first is story portrays the complex relationship in the peasant community in Chinese society. त्यो किसानहरुको समुदायको complex relationship it displays. It mentions about the real physical sufferings of the peasant. वास्तवमा is how much the peasant or even farmers used to suffer due to economics exploitation. And it exposes his miserable peasant's mentality as well as त्यहाँको कसरी miserable peasant अथवा त्यो peasantsहरु कसरी miserable mentality मा बस्ने गर्थे. As they were poisoned by feudal class, सामन्ती वर्गहरूले कसरी तिनीहरूको शोषण गर्ने गर्थे. For instance, Runtu is an unforgettable and pathetic person who suffered much from the hard work and submarginal living. It makes people clear about the class system, slavery system, hierarchy prevalent in China. यो सबै के थियो त चाइनामा विद्यमान थियो. Even is we also find three kinds of servants in the China. It also shows that there were the class system, slavery system, and hierarchy, and they were the year-longs, short timers, and busy monthers, about which we have already discussed. Is above all, society dictates, disallows them to be friends. People from different classes cannot interact and develop mutual relations. फरक क्लासका मान्छेहरूले क्लोज कनेक्सन क्लोज फ्रेन्डशिप क्रिएट गर्न सक्दैनथे. दे हेभ टु फुलफिल देयर रोल्स एट सर्टेन पोजिसन. तिनीहरूले आफ्नो रोल पनि डिस्प्ले गर्नु पर्थ्यो. So then about question D. What does the story indicate about geographical features? भनेको सेटिङको कुरा गर्छ. Geographical features of the narrator's hometown. कस्तो थियो geographical भौगोलिक अवस्थाको कुरा गर्छ. Geographically, the story My Old Home has been set in 1911 during the overthrow of Qin dynasty in the hometown of the narrator. It was the depth of winter. Winter ko mahina huncha when the story opens and the clouded sky over the cold wind. चिसो हावा बगिरहेको हुन्छ, clouded sky हुन्छ. The narrator peeps. उनी बाहिरतिर हेर्छन् through the window in a distance horizon. टाढा हेर्छन् भिलेजहरू सहरहरू देखिन्छन् and a vast and graying sky आकाश पनि हेर्छन्. The area narrator remembers was far more lovely. His hometown was probably nothing more than what he lay before him. केही पनि चेन्ज भएको खासै पाउँदैनन्. Then the narrator talks about his visit to his farm, which was under a black blue sky. Beneath it a stretch a sandy ground planted with emerald green watermelon. पुरा एकदम राम्रो वाटरमेलनहरू फिल्डहरूमा थिए. Stretching as far as eyes could see. जहाँसम्म हेर्यो त्यहाँसम्म वाटरमेलनको फिल्डहरू पाइन्थ्यो. Standing in the midst of all those melons and then about the New Year celebration. त्यसपछि उनले नयाँ वर्ष सेलिब्रेसनको कुरा सम्झन्छन्, वाटरमेलनको फिल्ड हेर्छन्. And he talks about collecting shells near the beach, visiting seashore just before the spring tides. त्यो स्प्रिङ सिजन्सको टाइड आउनुभन्दा अगाडि. नाइट टाइम गार्डिङ द फार्म, त्यो यस खेतलाई लुक आफ्टर गर्ने. along with his father catching the birds, stabbing the animals like budger, porcupines, etc. So this is about the geographical situations that we find as geographical as features in the story. Then reference beyond the text. These are the questions is outside of this chapter is. So the very first question, human beings are on the road from the time immemorial, always migrating to new places. Write an essay on the trend of migration. नेपालमा माइग्रेसनको चलन कस्तो छ in about 300 words. So the essay is, Nepal is a country where developments, employments and industrial growths are limited, making land the most economic assets. The population in the mountain regions of Nepal has exceeded the carrying capacity of the land. Therefore, the people are moving to the more arable lands of the Tarai. And it is estimated that 40% of the Nepal's population is concerned in the hilly region, mountain region, and 60% of farmland in the Tarai. There are basically two factors for rural and urban migration in Nepal: pull factor and push factor. Opportunities for the employment, physical facilities, entertainment facilities, better future, secure life, social respect, etc. are the pull factor. यी चिजहरूले मान्छेहरूलाई तानेका हुन्छन् अनि मान्छेहरू के गर्छन्? They leave their own place. On the other hand, hardship, poverty, unemployment, lack of facilities are the pull factors. यिनीहरूले मान्छेलाई धकेल्छन् एक ठाउँबाट अर्को ठाउँमा जानको लागि. So these are the trends. Besides survival, resources, demand, supply, religion, economy are the other factors responsible for intellectual migration. अरु मान्छेहरू यो चीजले पनि माइग्रेट गर्छन्. In the context of Nepal, many people from Himalayan and hilly region migrate to Tarai for better opportunities. राम्रो सुविधाको लागि, employment and trade. Some people leave the place for settlements as well. Internal migration is widely found in the country. So this is about the essay, the trends of migration in Nepal. The picture also depicts how the migration is increasing in our country. Yes, 1993 मा बाट 3605 मात्र थिए भने अहिले 2013 मा आएर के गरेको छ 5,27,814 पिपलहरु अहिले माइग्रेट भएका छन् भनेको यसले के देखाउँछ सोर्स डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ फरेन इम्प्लोयमेन्ट इस 2040 को रिसेन्ट डाटामा अझ बढी हामीले के गर्छौं we will find that many more people have migrated from the Nepal. So then about the second question is reference beyond the text. This one second one, and this is the last one as well. Find one of your relatives or friends who has migrated to the new place, leaving his or her old home. Talk to him or her and prepare a report on what she felt while leaving the old home. आफ्नो एउटा कोही रिलेटिभ अथवा फ्रेन्ड्स जसले के गरेको छ घर छोडेर अथवा भिलेज छोडेर सिटी आएको छ, त्योसँग के गर्ने, इन्टरभ्यू गर्ने अथवा कुराकानी गर्ने र उसको भ्युजहरूलाई के गर्ने, माथि एउटा रिपोर्ट तयार गरेर लेख्ने. Yes, the answer is my uncle and aunt along with their is two children, his parents have recently migrated to the capital city Kathmandu from a remote village as he bought a beautiful house there. Uncle त्यहाँ एउटा राम्रो घर किनेपछि उनी त्यहाँबाट माइग्रेट भएका छन्. According to my conversation with my uncle, he returned home after 10 years from the city. He collected things necessary and sold the furniture, donated some of the things to his neighbors. Uncle distributed some of the kitchen things to his neighbors as well. He had nostalgia. विभिन्न कुराहरू उनी पनि सम्झन्छन्, like the narrator, about his villagers. He missed his childhood days, enjoyed with his friends, and the places where he had fun with his near and dear ones. He found his relatives were standing at his gate. At the time of departure, they looked sad. They were looking at uncle and his family members curiously. All of them said farewell to him. He said goodbye to all of them and left his old home. So this is much about the story My Old Home. If you have any queries regarding the chapter, mention below in the comment box. If you find this video interesting and helpful, like the video, share it, subscribe it, and click on the bell icon to get the notification of upcoming videos. Thank you. Have a good day. Goodbye.